Two, hello. Two, check two. Hello, folks. I am the eldest boy. I am the eldest boy. I've been a good boy. I deserve this. It's mine. Mine. Give me it back. I want the toy. Give it to me. Meh. It's my toy. Did you know it's a holiday? No, I just realized it's Memorial Day today. I just realized that before logging on. Maybe we can do some kind of anti-troop content to be really subversive, really dangerous out there. Maybe that's what we should be doing today. Hello, folks. Start with a salute. That's right. It's your Poppy Day. That's right. You should be... You know what? I think that's the Weird Swedes toy. Yes, it is. No, not getting into the spoilers, though. No spoilers. No Succession spoilers. Okay? I know there's people in the chat that haven't seen it or that are just getting into it. I don't want to spoil anything too much with too any heavy-handed Succession talk. I do want to get into a little bit, but I have to say, responding to Sin Chow and just saying it's Sin Chow's Poppy Day, I think you can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Well, here she comes. Though I could hear the sound of Dalmatians howling.
Thank you, Ben, for the 9 months of Tier 1. I appreciate it. Thank you. No, I'm not going to spoil it. Hey, Husker, what's up? Yeah, Dr. Awesome's on Season 2. Vlad's 3 episodes behind. I'm not going to get into any serious spoilers, but we can talk about Succession in non-spoiler terms. But finally, responding to what Sin Chow was saying, I think what we need to do is bring Poppy discourse to America. Someone's got to start the Memorial Day Poppy thing. And then you get the ball rolling with the hall monitor, like who's wearing a Poppy and who's not wearing a Poppy. Do you just wear the Poppy on one day? Is it the whole week of? And then eventually it's just the whole month. Eventually it's the whole month because no one knows when to start. They're like, I'm just going to start at the beginning of the month and take it off at the end of the month. Just so I'm sure that no one's going to be mad at me. No one's going to be mad at me. Yeah, wear a Poppy all year. What do you support the troops or not? You know? You did that with the American flag lapel pins. That's true. You got those. And the ribbons. The ribbons on the back of the cars. Yeah, Ilhan Omar hates poppies discourse. Exactly. Look, we need this. We can't just have this brain poison in Canada. We need to bring this to America. That's good. I'm drinking my Diet Coke out of a glass today. I ran out of cans. And I bought a 2-liter of Diet Coke, which is just really not as good. It's not as good. It's not the same. But still hit the spot. Using a glass to support the troops. That's right. Shocking that they've left this arena for troop groveling on the table for this long. I know, is what I mean. Yeah, you had the pins. You had the, what was it, the yellow ribbon or whatever. We got to bring the Poppy discourse to America. And yeah, we have to talk about Succession a little bit, and I'm going to avoid any major spoilers. If you really do, yeah, we need the yellow and blue poppies for sure. I'm genuinely surprised that we didn't have those this year. I'm going to try and talk about the Succession series finale without any spoilers. Like I said, I know people are not all the way caught up, so I don't want to get into any specific details. I will say there'll be blue stripe, the thin blue line poppies. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. I will say, though, that if you're really concerned about it, if you really don't want to have anything spoiled, I would say just take a hike. Take a hike for like 5-10 minutes and come back if you're really concerned about it. So I'm going to try to talk about this without any spoilers, but you know, it might be somewhat difficult to be completely vague about everything. Take a hike, not like in a mean way. Not in a mean way, you know? Not in a mean way. Just take a little stroll. Go, maybe I will allow you this one time to watch another Twitch stream. Just for like 5 minutes. Then I want you right back here. All right? I'll let you this one time go and watch another Twitch stream. I want you back immediately, though. Okay, this is not this new like privilege or anything like that. Do not unsub. That's right. No, I thought it was just it was a really fantastic finale. I think I don't want to fuck. I want to talk about who like the actual like winners were. I actually did think that Cousin Greg was gonna walk away as the Waystar CEO, as I outlined on TikTok, which is not what happened, but definitely like the way it was getting set up, everything was going too good for Kendall. And they really took their time in this episode in the first like 45 minutes, getting the siblings back on the same page, and you have this moment of like levity and they're siblings again and they're together. And it was nice, and they really took their time in this moment, didn't they? They didn't rush through that at all. But just given what's happened on the show so far, given Kendall's whole arc, you just knew that even though it was setting up him to be like anointed over the last 2 episodes, you just knew that that was not going to be the result, and that whatever was going to happen, it was going to unfold in the most tragic and painful way possible. And it did. It really did. And it was very tense. It was difficult to watch at times. Incredible performances all around. Just like the fucking performances on this show from top to bottom. But in that final climactic scene with the 3 siblings was like really wrenching. It was like hard to make. It was hard to get through it. It was really, really difficult to get through it. But Jeremy Strong in particular, I mean, has got so much accolades for his performance, but seeing him, like the actor and the character, go from this moment of ultimate triumph, his entire life's ambition about to be realized, and to have it snatched away at the last moment very cruelly, and have him as a character go from this confidence and this sense of like inevitability to this like childlike. You saw it with Roman in the episode a few episodes ago with the speech at the funeral. You saw him go from this moment of like confidence to just this shrinking into this little kid, basically. And you saw the same thing with, even though Kendall was like, "Oh, I'm not like that. I'm the one that can do this," and that's an example of how Roman can't do it. And then you saw the exact same thing as soon as this was like taken away from him, he immediately goes back to the little boy. Exactly. I'm the eldest boy. And just desperate, like going from that moment of confidence to the desperate flailing They brought up the big thing from season 1 that happened, that he confessed to them. And he's like, no, I just made that up. It didn't even happen. And you can see he's just saying anything. He's just willing to say anything at that moment. And yeah, Connor off screen screeching. I went back and watched the first season last night again. It's even funnier now. They're still the same. Well, I think that's why it was somewhat predictable that you knew that it was going to end similar. Maybe if the specific details weren't there. I would like to actually go back and watch that season 1 as well. Even trying to get another vote. I know, it was just sad. It was so sad, Dakadoon. Oh my god. And the kind of sudden explosion of violence as well. There's been these moments like throughout the show that he's been like protective of Roman, and then that moment when he like fucking lost it. And you see throughout this episode, you see like Logan coming through each of the kids. There was even a moment with Siobhan, with Shiv in the final episode. I think when she was talking to Tom, and you can like hear, she's got the exact Logan like cadence. She said like something fucking something and sounded exactly like him. What was the deal with the hug reopening the stitches? Well, I think it's number one, it's symbolic. But I think Roman was saying like, it looks like I've been defeated, you know, the fact that I'm like anointing you, and it's like my scars have healed too much. It doesn't look like I've been through anything, and like people are going to wonder why I'm doing this. So it's like he's hugging him as a way to like comfort him, but also he's like reopening the wounds to make it look like he went through some kind of like violence, and that's the reason that he's made these decisions. Yeah, they're trying to get another vote after Shiv left the room. Oh god, that was so bad. Oh, it was just painful to watch. Painful to watch. And yeah, I think that's why it was really the perfect ending, because no one really got what they wanted. And you know, it's a show about watching these like immensely wealthy and powerful people, but watching them suffer. You know, you're bearing witness to their suffering. They're not just like you see the people like at the utmost upper crust 1% of the 1%, and how despite all the luxuries they have, they're just miserable people. And that was what the ending was about, right? It was no one getting what they wanted. Even Tom, right? Even Tom. And I know it was a big night for Tom heads around the world, but you know, what did Mattson say? I need a pain sponge. And Mattson's talking about he was fucking Tom's wife, so he's just basically agreed to like completely supplicate himself and absorb all the punishment, be like a whipping boy for this like Swedish guy who wants to also sleep with his wife, and he gets even closer to the power and the money, but he's got to just like give up all dignity, all independence. Yeah, and Shiv is miserable. Like she gives up. You see the power dynamic in their relationship flip. Greg as well. Like Greg, despite all the advancement,
good old Rob to talk you through all this.
14 months of pure joy, friendship, and triangles.
Johnny, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Johnny. Subversive History, aka a streamer that you should all be subscribed to and watching. Thank you, Johnny, for the 14 months tier 1. And I should be appearing on Subversive History on Thursday evening. Rob Rousseau. Subversive History. Let's go. Mrs. Dialectically was crying last night at the end. I didn't cry, but I was really emotionally, like, it was emotionally devastating to watch. I read the scar thing from Roman's perspective, him reverting back to being a naive and entitled child, thinking it looks cool and people will think it looks cool, but I could be way off. I mean, yeah, that's on a surface level, that's part of it too. But it's like he felt like he needed to look more beat up. He needed to look more beat up to like justify what he was doing. I think that was part of it. And there's also this whole symbolic thing about the old wounds, the old scars reopening. You know, it's a little kind of hit you over the head symbology there, or symbolism. And yeah, so even Greg, too, with all his advancement, he ends up right in the back, in the same place as well. He's still, as much as like Tom is now the pain sponge for Mattson, Greg is the whipping boy, or Greg is the pain sponge for Tom. The violence with the two of them, too, is very shocking also. And you see Greg, like, not taking it. No one was redeemed. No one was happy. Everyone was suffering. You know, and that's what I mean. That's what it's a show about. It's about seeing these immensely privileged and powerful people, but bearing witness to their suffering. And that was exactly what the finale delivered in droves. And really set it up, like really spent the first 45 minutes or so really setting it up so it would really hit as hard as possible. I do really wish they cleared up the election results. Yeah, I like how there's like... It's a really bold, creative choice. I mean, it could have gone... There's plenty of story left to go, right? Next season, like if there was another one, like with the stuff that's going on with Mencken and the Tom and Shiv relationship and what Kendall does. Like there's... Of course, they could make another season and everyone would tune into it. But I really respect and admire the fact that they were like, no, we're going to just go out like this. And that's the climax of it. It doesn't mean that the world stops. It keeps going. But yeah, there's no clarity. There's no, nothing is resolved. There's no catharsis. I like that. I really like that. Like that's a really bold, creative choice. I think, like, you know, who got Daddy's kiss? I'm always singing that in my head. Like when the theme song gets stuck in my head, it's always with the lyrics now. All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's left is going to win a kiss from Daddy. Yeah, I'm always singing that. Yeah, it's just. We talked about those British series last week, and I think that's one thing that these British series understand that sometimes American series don't get. You know, it could have gone on till season 9, till everyone fucking hated it, and it was boring and old, and everyone hated it, you know, but going out when it's at the height of its, like, cultural zeitgeisty relevance, and just firing on all cylinders creatively, I think that's the way you got to do it. That's how you make something that lasts. You know? The whole drama about, like, Mencken as well is that, like, they were like, they called the election for Mencken because they thought that he would help them block that deal. But it turns out that they sold out whatever more, like Kendall especially, whatever morals that he had were completely sold out for nothing, you know. And they just got it. They put in an American CEO, and just like still the deal goes ahead, and he loses. I think Roman came the closest to a happy ending. Hey, what's up, really chill guy? I think Roman came the closest to having a happy ending because at the end he seemed like free. He's like, I'm free from this. I don't have to do this anymore. As close as Roman could come to happy, for sure, yeah. Roman's character started as someone who never cared about the business and ended the same way, but richer. Yeah, exactly. Like, he didn't even really want it. but he felt kind of compelled to go after it. Yeah, he gets it. We're bullshit. He realized. What about the Barry finale? I've still not really watched much of it. I guess I'm going to have to watch Barry next now. I think that's my next prestige drama I got to watch. I am doing The Sopranos as well. I am doing a Sopranos watch through as well. Yeah, Connor and Willa in the old townhouse sinking into marital misery once the ambassadorial deal breaks down, for sure. I really, I respect that. I respect and admire that. It's 4 seasons. It took 4 seasons, and like none of the main characters really advanced anything or learned anything. Maybe you might argue that Roman did. No one really got what they wanted. No one was happy. They all just continued to suffer. Even though they got even more wealthy and powerful. But that was fantastic stuff. You know what else was with their cow couch? Yeah. Should we do the... Okay, so Ben, you requested this. Perhaps we should do this. Hold on. Okay, one last time. One more time with feeling. One more time with feeling. You ready?
All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's best is going to win that kiss from daddy. All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's best is going to win that kiss from daddy. Who will get the kiss from daddy? All the rich white folk are going to argue, but only one will triumph and win the prize of daddy's love. Will daddy kiss? Who will daddy kiss? Who will daddy Roy kiss? Who will daddy kiss? Can he trust his kids? Oh, who will daddy kiss? Daddy kiss, daddy kiss, daddy kiss.
Roman, Shiv, Connor, Tom, Marsha, Greg, Jared, Ray, Sandy, Ewan, Frank.
Get daddy's kiss. All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's best is going to win a kiss from daddy. All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's best is going to win that kiss from daddy.
It's so good. It's so good. Damn. Yeah, and Johnny's talking about Siobhan, my character became formulaic and fucking annoying. I mean, the whole series, especially this last couple of this last season, has been just a string of her half-hearted scheming just blowing up in her face, and her being exposed as being nowhere near as talented or interesting as she thinks she is. The ending reflected that as well. Amazing performance, though, by Sarah Snook. I think she's fucking fantastic. And the whole thing too, people were saying like, oh, it's like for feminism, you know? Oh, I can't believe that ending for the she was trying to, and it's like, are you watching the same show? Really? You think Shiv is like a girl, she's going to be this like girl boss? Really? Like that's clearly never what she's been about. She likes to put on certain airs and have a certain like image that she's cultivated for herself, but like that's not at all what she's about. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that either, Bolden. I don't know if that was totally explained. What was the real reason? I mean, I guess her family situation had a lot to do with that. Both wanting to set herself up and her like kid, and also just physically and mentally not being able to hand it over to Ken. Just not being able to do it. Great critique of bougie girl bosses, for sure. And we see that she has these like principles or values, quote unquote, but as soon as like it's becomes like expedient for her to just completely sabotage those values, she'll do it in a heartbeat. I don't know. Pretty fantastic finale. I really loved it. We can put a pin in the Succession talk now so we don't alienate all our viewers that haven't seen it. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's. I wasn't. I don't think I knew about Kendall's kids. I don't think I'd ever, because his kids are on screen so irregularly because he never sees them. Even though he kind of tries to be a good dad, he like never sees them. So I don't think I had ever put it together that they like weren't his biological kids. And when that came up in the finale, oh my God, what a painful moment that was. Oh my goodness. My goodness gracious. For all of Logan's complaining, he taught them nothing. In other words, Cinnamon Challenge. In other words, I love you. But you are not serious people. Yeah, Old Dutch. Seriously, like that whole thing with Kendall's speech at the funeral, it's like this extended manic episode. The delusions of grandeur, right? He thinks it's like destiny. He thinks it's his destiny, his birthright. And if he just like wills it into being like his dad
you
would,
can count on me. You're gonna have good old.
He's able to do it.
Talk you through all this.
Who won great in Game of Thrones?
Hey, Marina, thank you so much for 19 months of Tier 1. Thank you, Marina. It was actually the ending I did not see coming, but the winner of Succession was actually Marina Dove. What? I did not. I never could have predicted that, but you know, I'm not going to question the writers of this series. Doing Scooby-Doo's at the Hanna-Barbera Business School. Yeah, could see the mania in his eyes. For sure, that's what I mean. It's like he thought he could just will it into being, you know? If he just believed it enough. The billionaire. That's the extra level. When you get above billionaire, that's what you get. If he'd worn the flight jacket, the vote would have gone his way. For sure. Big shoes. Big shoes. Big shoes. Big shoes. Man, I loved it. And you know what? For sure. Mattson was fantastic. Skarsgård as Mattson was fucking great. One thing and by the way, if you want to have more discussion about this, there's some great Succession discussion in the Discord channel. We got a Succession Discord channel, so I encourage you to get in there as well. But there was some questioning last night whether Roman or Jeremy Strong actually drank like a chocolate shake in the meal fit for a king scene, or whether he actually drank the gross concoction. And I think we all knew that Jeremy Strong didn't want a fucking chocolate shake. He wanted the mixture of 0% milk and pickles and all the shit that they're putting into it. And he really did. I listened to the official Succession podcast, and he was like, Jeremy Strong is a really funny guy. He was like, there was no question of me not drinking it. Like, he was so serious. No, I'm not kidding at all, Sinjal. He was really like, of course I drank it. It was like, it was almost a stupid question to him. I know. I want to see him in something else too. I love weird actors, man. I really do. I love actors that just like are fucking weird freaks. I know they are. They are, Marina. I love it. I don't know. I get a big kick out of that. That's one of my big like TikTok algorithm things. I get a lot of like videos about actors talking about their craft, weirdo actors, and I love it. I don't know. You play pretend for a living. I get it. I'm also insane. And it was really interesting. Like, there's been all kinds of talk about method acting or not method acting, and Brian Cox was talking a lot about that. But it was very interesting actually hearing from Jeremy Strong about that climactic scene, in the end of the series, the end of the show, with the siblings, and how like in that moment he was feeling that desperation. Like he was feeling the desperation that Kendall felt, and he was like willing. He would do anything. He would do anything to win. He was believed in his heart that he was like morally and like destined to get this, and he deserved it and needed it to live. And he really believed that. And I think the desperation that you saw is like real. It's like real at that moment from him. I don't think men should be allowed to do it, but Margot Robbie becoming Barbie and leaving gifts wrapped in bows for her co-stars is hilarious. That is funny, yeah. It's like it's like when Jared Leto's doing it, he's like, "Ooh, I'm the Joker. Look at my sadistic pranks," and like sending rat corpses to his colleagues and stuff. It's like that meme with like the, "Oh, thank you, you're so sweet," versus "Hello, human resources," When Jared Leto is like getting weird with it, it's like fucking leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm off the clock now, Jared. Credible actors should not agree with each other on the art or process. It's a diverse experience, and any notion of what acting is should be appreciated and challenged. I would really like honestly, I think acting is so cool. I would really like acting is something that I have always wanted to do, and I've just like never really. It's one thing that I've pursued a lot of sort of creative things in my life, like music especially, and this stream is like kind of a little bit like that, entertaining or being comedic or what have you. But acting is something that I've always been super fascinated with that I just never really pursued. I never really knew how to make that happen. Maybe it's not too late for me. Maybe in my 40s I can get into acting. I don't know. I think you look at me here, I think I'm more of a character actor at this point. I don't think I'm leading man material. But I think I could do something. You are an actor, Rob. You act like you aren't a Fed in every stream. Oh, thank you, John. My dear boy, why don't you try acting? I listened to your back and forth with Chat GPS and you were already an actor. See, that's what I mean. It's like when I have the opportunity to do stuff like that, I love it. Like I love doing that, Diego. Like I thought that was so fun. The lefties work community theater and fight clubs. I agree. I absolutely agree. TRRS is method acting. We're all dicks to you, and as we see, it produces high quality art. That's right. We have a big back and forth. Kind of a give and take thing. Like a yes and kind of situation. As they say, all the best acting is reacting.
This is some guy,
That's
Rob
what we do.
Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Zach, thank you for the raid. Zach app, hello. Welcome, Zach Raiders. I hope you had a good stream today. Thanks for joining us. Bring it in here. It was fun to run those lines the other day when I did the monologue from... I'm just talking about acting, Zach Raiders. It was fun to run the lines from Glengarry Glen Ross the other day. I wanted to do... The other monologue that I wanted to try sometime, which is a really hard one. It's an amazing monologue, but it's Eric Bogosian's monologue from Talk Radio, which is so like... this, it's so fitting for like what I do on here. But Bogosian in that is just fucking amazing in that scene. That's a hard one to match the intensity of. No, I didn't watch Double or Nothing. I watched most of like the highlights. I'm still not, as a wrestling fan, I'm still not all the way back to like watching the events. Do that annoying monologue from the newsroom. Is that the one from the beginning where he talks about America being the greatest country? That one? There's a lot of annoying monologues in newsroom. I'll set design your one-man show. Well, maybe one day. Maybe one day. It's really the one thing that I've always been super interested in that I've just never pursued. Most things that I'm interested in, I've pursued when it comes to creative stuff, writing and music and doing this. I'm gonna change the title here. Let's do improv derogatory. Yeah. Hold on just one sec. This is the Bogosian monologue. Fuck, I don't know if I have it in me right now. Yeah, dead air. This is dead air, which is part of the Bogosian monologue. I don't know if I should be doing that right now. I don't know if I should do the Eric Bogosian monologue from talk radio right now. I don't think that's a good idea. It's just too intense. I don't know if I'm in the right mindset. Hello, Danger Dave Ball. What's up? You know what was really enjoyable, though? Really, really enjoyable was this weekend on Saturday watching Avatar, The Way of Water, with the TRRS community in the Discord server. When we all legally downloaded the film and watched it at the same time and commented on it in the Discord server. I really enjoyed that, honestly. I wasn't even, fuck all, unlimited genocide on the Sky people. I agree, John. I was really like on Saturday, it's like, are we really going to like watch this movie again? I'm going to watch it I love the movie, but like, I'm going to watch it for the fourth time. It's 9:15 on Saturday. Am I going to really sit here for the next 3.5 hours and look at this? No matter how much I like the movie and the basketball game's on, it's like, I don't know if I can do this. And I absolutely got pulled right into it. And it just flies by. The whole 3.5 hours. I got absolutely pulled right back into it. And it was I really enjoyed with the chat at the same time, the live chat going through. It was fucking great. It was a great game too. I was watching right at the big action sequence in Avatar. It was the climactic ending to the game as well. It was very like sensory overload. Is Game 7 tonight, Bolden? Fuck. I'm getting very frustrated how Boston fans keep getting like the knife perched above their throats and then getting away. It's multiple times now that's happened this playoffs. But I guess it would still be quite painful to come all the way back to force Game 7 and then lose at home. That would still be pretty satisfactory. Scott Foster tonight. And I don't know. I don't want to go ahead and say like the refs were the only reason that the Miami lost that game. It did really feel like when they had momentum and they came back and took the lead, all of a sudden the game slowed right down and a bunch of like ticky-tack fouls were called. And it just like they got like a bunch of free throws in a row, which was, it totally like killed the momentum that they were building and just like, that was kind of annoying. I thought I was pretty annoyed by that. I know Bostonians will be insufferable if they win this. I can't handle this. Although I will say, though, the positive thing that I could say is that, you know, if the Heat win, it's going to be Nuggets and Heat, and I'm not really going to be emotionally invested. I would like the Nuggets to win. The Nuggets haven't won. I don't think they've won an NBA championship ever. I mean, Joker, he deserves. It would be nice to see him win in the finals. I would also like for the Heat to win. I'd like Kyle Lowry to get another ring. The Heat have been fun to watch. So if it was a Nuggets Heat finale, I would kind of be like not emotionally invested. But if it is a Nuggets Celtics finale or finals, I will be like fully emotionally invested in the tank for the Nuggets, watching every game, getting upset about stuff. Like, so that is one positive aspect, I guess, if Boston does make it through tonight. I'll be like fully a Nuggets head from day one. Oh boy, the crew is in right now. The whole reffing crew is in there to make sure that the script is followed. Any feelings on this whole digital ID and digital currency thing? I see a lot of PPC people obsessed with it. It's just really stupid, honestly, Brando. The idea that like first of all, a lot of the people that complain about digital ID are doing so on social media platforms that absolutely track your every move online and off. The idea that people are so concerned about the government having digital ID, oh, they're going to know where we're going at any time. They're going to know what we pay. They already know. They already know. This is not a new phenomenon. This is not a new situation. They already know. Every single social media company knows exactly everything you're looking at online, everything you're talking about. It's all already out there. So the idea that like, oh, the government's going to know, like everyone fucking knows your stuff already. You know, everyone knows. Calm down. I don't know if you ever watched the Netflix doc Operation Flagrant Foul, but Scott Foster is for sure caught up in game fixing. And it's probably even more blatant now with the legalization of gambling as well, and the way that's totally tied in with like the NBA presentation. All the refs and all the players know the like what the lines, you know, they all know what word am I looking for? That's how little I know about gambling. The spread, thank you. Jesus. You know, they all know, they're all aware of it. The over-unders, I don't know. I think there's some valid concerns about the ability for someone to turn off your money. I think that's probably true, Dave, but like we're already seeing that. Like we've seen with PayPal, for example. PayPal just like deciding that, number one, if you're like sex workers are on the front lines of this as well, right? Just being able to cut off from being able to get income from PayPal and other things like that. But also like, yeah, and if you piss off the wrong person, if you say something that goes against the sort of consensus, if you're supporting like Russian propaganda, if they determine that if you're a Russian propagandist, you can just like stop someone's income, like that shit is already happening, which is absolutely, it is dangerous, but this is not this new situation. In that doc, they talk about how there's an understanding with the refs that they call the games that helped the NBA as a business, and named a few guys who really understood it, and Scott Foster was one of them. Got to imagine a Boston-Denver finals is a better draw than Miami-Denver. I guess that makes sense also from a business standpoint, but at the same time, it's like you got to make new fans. You can't just be relying on Boston and fucking LA and maybe like the Knicks and these legacy franchises to draw ratings. You need to build new fan bases and build new stars. Like that's how that shit works. Like, and like that what should be a better draw should not be a factor at all in anyone's like understanding of like what the outcome should be. Apparently those F-16s can't take off in Ukraine, but the runways are too short and too messed up. Well, for like Lockheed Martin, it's no take backsies. It's no take backsies. You bought them. We already got the big contract from the government. No return policy on that. Yeah. You'll be paying for tens of decades. Congrats. After our like vastly overinflated merchandise here, product. The obvious answer is that we give Ukraine more money to build new runways. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for saying what everyone else is thinking. Thank you. Folks, we could fix a total of 9 bridges. That's right. Congratulations to you. I kind of want to do this dramatic monologue. I really kind of do. Should I punt that to next time? I'm very tempted to do a dramatic monologue from the film Talk Radio. It was initially a play, actually. I'm very tempted to do a dramatic monologue right now. I'm just wondering what kind of dramatic monologue music I could put on. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I saw that quote from Ben from Lindsey Graham. You're killing Russians. Best money we've ever spent. Truly amazing when you can just really speak it out loud like that, right? These people are so comfortable. They're so comfortable just like being totally open and honest about this. But still, it's Russian propaganda to say that it's a proxy war. You know? It's Russian propaganda to call the war in Ukraine a proxy war. And then you have Lindsey Graham in 2016 saying, we'll give you whatever you need. Just fight the Russians. Take the fight to the Russians, 2016. And then 2023, years later, you're killing Russians. It's the best money we've ever spent. Like, they're really spelling it out for you. They're really spelling it out for you, but still no one's paying attention. It's really something else. Should do a reading of this monologue from Geely. I've never seen Geely, unfortunately. What's this music? Okay, folks. I talked about... You're just going to have to indulge me here, okay? You're going to have to indulge me, okay? This is going to take 5 minutes. It's going to take 5 minutes. I've got this idea in my head now, and now I have to do it. I'm going to try, okay? I'm going to try to act. I think we came up with a name for this segment. It's like Monologue Monday. It's Monologue Monday. Okay? It's Monologue Monday over here. So, if you'll just indulge me here, we were talking a lot about acting and the process of acting. I don't know if we lost Marina or I feel like Marina would be good for this to check this out. But the dramaturgy zone, exactly everything that I'm about to do does make sense dramaturgically. We'll expect a monologue every Monday. Okay, you ready for this? This is, I will be performing for the monologue that I'll be performing today. This is from the film Talk Radio starring Eric Bogosian. It is written by Eric Bogosian as well. He's a phenomenal character actor, one of the best to ever do it. Okay, Marina, just give me, if you have any notes on this, just let me know, okay? This music should go. Hold the calls. I'm here. I'm here every night. I come up here every night. This is my job. It's what I do for a living. I come up here and I do the best I can. I give you the best I can. I can't do better than this. I can't. I'm only a human being up here. I'm not God. A lot of you out there are not... I may not be the most popular guy in the world. That's not the point. I really don't care what you think of me. I mean, who the hell are you anyways? You audience. You call me up and you try to tell me things about myself. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You've never seen me. You don't know who I am, what I want, what I like, what I don't like in this world. I'm just a voice. A voice in the wilderness, and you, like a pack of baying wolves, descend on me because you can't stand facing what it is you are and what you've made. Can't stand facing what it is you are and what you've made. Yes, the world is a terrible place. Yes, cancer and garbage disposals will get you. Yes, a war is coming. Yes, the world is shot to hell and you're all goners. Everything's screwed up and you like it that way, don't you? You're fascinated by the gory details. You're mesmerized by your own fear. You revel in floods and car accidents and unstoppable diseases. You're happiest when others are in pain, and that's where I come in, isn't it? I'm here to lead you by the hand through the dark forest of your own hatred and anger and humiliation. I'm providing a public service. You're so scared. You're like the little child under the covers. You're afraid of the boogeyman, but you can't live without him. Your fear, your own lives have become your entertainment. Tomorrow night, millions of people are going to be listening to this show, and you have nothing to talk about. Marvelous technology is at our disposal, and instead of reaching up for new heights, we try to see how far down we can go, how deep into the muck we can immerse ourselves. What do you want to talk about? Baseball scores? Your pet? Orgasms? You're pathetic. I despise each and every one of you. You've got nothing, absolutely nothing. No brains, no power, no future, no hope, no God. The only thing you believe in is me. What are you if you don't have me? I'm not afraid, see? I come up here every night and make my case. I make my point. I say what I believe in. I have to. I have no choice. You frighten me. I come up here every night and I tear into you. I abuse you. I insult you, and you just keep calling. Why do you keep coming back? What's wrong with you? I don't want to hear anymore. I've had enough. Stop talking. Don't call anymore. Go away. Bunch of yellow-bellied, spineless, bigoted, quivering, drunken, insomniac, paranoid, disgusting, perverted, voyeuristic, little obscene phone callers. That's what you are. Well, to hell with you. I don't need your fear and your stupidity. You don't get it. It's wasted on you. Pearls before swine. If one person out there had any idea what I'm talking about... Fred, you're on. And scene.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
While you were having premarital sex, I was subscribing to the Triangle.
Thank you, Pac-Man Trinity. Thank you for the 10 months tier 1. I appreciate that. Pac-Man Trinity, thank you. That was so good. I thought you were being for real for the first 4 minutes. I tuned in. That would be great. If I really lost it on the chat one day.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Sasha, for the 100. I'll find another monologue to do next Monday. Okay. That was with no rehearsals or anything, right? It was with no rehearsals or completely like off the cuff. Was this a recreation of the latest episode of the Majority Report with Sam Sater? I'm genuinely kind of surprised that Sam has not been driven to madness yet. Any good Avatar monologues? I don't know. I don't know if there would be an appropriate monologue from Avatar we could do. I was actually feeling the emotion a little bit there just a little bit. I just touched it. The real feelings for just a little bit, just for a moment. Did Sam go off in his audience? No, I didn't. My impression was that he didn't, but just that it seems like that's something that would eventually happen given the type of calls that he's got to take on a day-to-day basis. And just take one more libertarian caller. Exactly. It's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Do the monologue from Pontypool. I haven't seen Pontypool in quite a long time, but I know there's some interesting and meaty stuff in there as well. The network stuff as well. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a bet he made debating libertarians. Well, that's the thing. It's like you can't. It's the same thing with Eric Bogosian and then talk radio. It's like you wanted this. This is your whole life's work to be doing this. So, what else did you expect? What did you expect to happen? I could do, one monologue I could do is the Toni Collette one from Hereditary. Do you think I could be that emotionally raw and vulnerable in a jokey segment on the stream? The Toni Collette monologue. There's probably plenty of stuff from West Wing you could get into. How do you like the Navi Water Tribes war phase? Just the was up phase. Blah. Yeah, for sure. Man, it's so sad when it really kicks off though, and they start just impaling sky people with spears and shit. It's so satisfying. They make you. It's really like a really.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
It's really such an impressive feat of like audience manipulation because you just hate the sky people so much. By the time that the third act, the gigantic hour-long action sequence kicks off, you just despise and loathe the sky people so much that it's so satisfying. Dan, thank you. Thank you for the raid, Dan Simpson. Welcome in, Dan Raiders. I appreciate it, Dan. I hope your stream was good today. I was just doing a little acting. Just doing a little acting on here. Getting a little wild. I'm getting uncomfortable watching Avatar because sometimes I feel like I'm a sky people. Well, that's the inescapable conclusion. We are sky people. and we deserve whatever is coming to us. I think that's the main takeaway from this film. Whatever reckoning is on the horizon for us, we had it coming. Many times over. Applied Jake Sully thought. Although, as we were pointing out, and I just got my Jake Sully shirt as well. I ordered it. It should be here soon. And I enjoy the character, but it really is, the film is just like a non-stop stream of Jake Sully L's. He fucks up so much in this movie. But I kind of like it also at the same time. It doesn't feel like bad writing. It feels just like a character who's like a meathead who's like trying to make the best decision and is fucking up a lot. Unless it's his thought from the second movie, exactly. Yeah. The first time, as soon as you're leading a successful guerrilla insurgency against a colonial occupier, you just immediately leave. Just take off. Take off and go hang out with another peaceful people who are you're for sure going to be inflicted with brutal violence as a result of your presence. It's election day in Alberta. Yeah, it is, Jay. And I will say as well that we got a Alberta episode. We got an Alberta episode coming up on Wednesday with our friend Jeremy Appel. Jeremy Appel will be joining the show at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. We're going to talk about what's been happening in Alberta with the election, with the wildfires, with everything that's going on. Get a little sort of a recap of the election. Jeremy Appel, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Be there or be square, as they say. Hang on, I'm just going to get some water. Okay? Oh, Old Dutch, you're thinking of Duncan Kinney. I got to mention, too, I did that post about my Laugan Ma chili crunch, or chili crisp, on Friday. I was thinking that maybe like a dozen people will be like, oh, hey, I like that sauce, too. And it really, like, a large number of people were like, I realized now, enthusiastic parts of the Laugan Ma community. I really had no idea that this sauce had become this big, like, cultural, like, this huge international phenomenon. I didn't realize that at all. I was just I was doing a recipe that said add chili crisp, so I just went to the Asian market near where I live and just got the first one that I saw. I did not realize that it was like a whole big phenomenon. Oh, thank you, $27. You like that? So over the weekend, I finished my jar of Laugan Ma, and then right before the stream, I went back to the market and got three jars of it. I got the regular kind, I got the kind with peanuts, and the kind with black beans. So now I have 3 things of Laugan Ma in my fridge. And I got some kimbap. I got some kimbap from the like the Asian market. Yeah, I guess it's like a Korean market. like grocery store, and I got some fresh kimbap from there, and I got a whole bunch of other stuff too. I got some QP mayo as well. So and I got this like little noodle salad. Just they got some fresh food there as well, which was so fucking good. So I had for lunch, I had like a kimbap roll, and it was so good. And I put some like QP mayo and chili crisp to like put with the sushi, and it was in all honesty, it was one of the best things I feel like I've ever had. Like it was just unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. And then I got this noodle salad that had like mushrooms and these sweet potato noodles and other stuff in there. Added some more chili crisp to that. It was like a fucking amazing lunch. Honestly. I was really full. Like it was way too much food. Is it way better than the mayo that we have? I mean, I think so. I had never gotten it before. But I've seen it used often in like recipes for that kind of food. And yeah, there's some different spices and there's some MSG in there as well. But I had with my kimbap, I had it with QP mayo and chili crisp, and it was like otherworldly. It was just like unbelievably fucking good. We support MSG in this household. Absolutely. In fact, not liking MSG is racism. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is, folks. I think that's pretty much catching you up on everything that I wanted to chit-chat about. I had a very good lunch. We talked Avatar 2. We talked Succession finale. A little sports talk. I think we covered everything. It really is amazing, the whole thing of like Chinese food, the no MSG craze, and how white people convinced themselves that MSG was this like dangerous chemical. It makes my tummy hurt and gives me headaches. It'd be like banning salt or something. No salt. We refuse to put salt in this food. It's like, okay. I don't know where the hell I'd get it in Glasgow. They don't sell it in the main stores. Here you can get it. It's called, well, it's not called MSG. It's called Accent, usually. Which you can usually just find with all the other spices. Not spouses. Spices. I ate 5,000 calories of Chinese food. My tummy was rumbling. Yeah, no shit. Yeah. That's because of the entire tray of like deep fried chicken and sugary sauce that you ate. Okay. So, like I was saying, I think I bet I see Accent next time I'm looking at the spice section. You very well might. You very well might see it. Give me that MSG stare, yeah. So that's the question, is what we're doing now. Excuse me. What are we doing now? I think we chit-chatted about a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to get out there. And there must be some kind of video we can do. I did want to talk, there's all the stuff about Biden and the debt ceiling and caving on that, and like raising the debt ceiling, while throwing people off of like food stamps as to appease Republicans. That's great. You know who's had it too good for too long in America? People on food stamps. They've had a free ride for too long. You got to make sure that if you're going to raise the debt ceiling, that you throw people off of food stamps to show how serious you are about this. No, I ended up forgetting about the Fox News anniversary, actually. Yeah, and I had talked about it enough for the last couple of weeks that I didn't feel like I was missing that much to not go into it. Not even appeasing Republicans. Democrats are just vicious. Heading into an election, too. You got them, so they dismantled whatever social safety net was put in place under COVID, throwing people off of food stamps to pass a budget. I think restarting student loan payments as well. Really good strategy right before the election. And all this, they're going to say all the same stuff. It's the most important election of our lifetime. I saw that viral tweet this week that was like, whether you like Biden or not is irrelevant. You must vote for Biden or else there's going to be a Fourth Reich. The Fourth Reich is going to rise if DeSantis or Trump is allowed to win. It's just like, these are terrible people, terrible, awful people. But the idea that the Fourth Reich is not already there, it's actually been there for quite some time. Yeah, Matt, we already talked about Succession. We had a lengthy Succession convo. And all the assault on abortion rights, the assault on trans rights, even though Democrats use the language to support these things, all these things are happening under a Democratic administration. And they're going to say, like, you got to vote for the Democrats. You can support voting rights and trans rights and abortion rights. But it's like the Democrats have been in charge the last 2 years. And all these things are going away under them. And like, I get it. The Republicans are bad. They are. I agree. The orange man is bad. The orange man and the annoying man, DeSantis, they are bad. I couldn't agree more. But it's like, in terms of like what is actually being accomplished here, they're showing how like the priorities are extremely similar. All these marginalized groups are under attack in the exact same way. The unlimited supply of arms ironically, all the stuff about Republicans, it's leading to the Fourth Reich. Well, under Biden, there's an unlimited arms transfers to neo-Nazis who are killing Russians right now under Biden. And all the pivot to Asia, the new Cold War stuff, increasing tensions with China and Russia at the same time. Like, this is all happening under Biden right now. The idea that you must vote for Biden no matter what you feel about it because it's impossible. It's going to reverberate badly around the world. That's what that tweet said. It's like that is already happening. That is already happening. Currently experiencing this because I'm not going to vote for the NDP to do their absolutely horrendous right-wing campaign. Well, the amazing thing about the Alberta NDP is that they learned nothing. They learned nothing whatsoever from their time actually leading the province and trying to come across as like the nice right-wing party rather than the mean right-wing party. Despite the activists that like really fought for them to win, the activists and climate activists begging and pleading with them. And they handed power right back over to conservatives. And now they're still doing it. They still didn't learn anything. They're still running a right-wing campaign right now. And it's amazing. I saw there was a New York Times story about the Alberta election featuring a right-wing party versus the Rachel Notley and the left-wing party, the leftist party, the NDP. And it's just like, it's so fucking depressing. UCP, you'll get nothing. NDP, how about an oil refinery with a rainbow flag? That's all it is, right? That's the difference. It's predominantly an aesthetic difference at this point. You have the mean guys in charge or the nice guys in charge, and they both basically have the same agenda, maybe with a few minor differences. Comrade Nolly with their comradely pro-police union, pro-gas agenda. I know, yeah. Fantastic. Vote good cop, not bad cop gets you to the same place. Yeah, and even I'm amenable to this idea that like the neoliberals are better than the fucking extreme reactionaries. But it's like they're literally out there. They have a chance to really differentiate themselves, and they have not done that. Like they've just shown time and time again that they've got all these same values. You know, it's more money to cops. It's more imperialism. It's like you say you don't believe in climate change, or you say you do, but you open up more drilling regardless. You doubled and tripled down on car culture regardless. You refuse to build transit regardless of whether you say that it's real or it's not real. You know? Yeah, there are differences between the two parties, but it's like they've not done anything to really show that. Why should people keep falling for this same argument? Oh. I'm really quite tired. I'm gonna have to put on some like video content soon. Okay, I got 2 more questions about chit chat stuff. I need your opinion on something. So, well, in Pelicans, that's it. It's like that's the fucking game, right? That these people either don't understand or they do understand, and this is just part of the part they have to play. It doesn't matter how right wing they try to act; it still doesn't convince any conservatives. All it does is just like move us along down this path of reactionary ideology, with maybe some slightly different aesthetics along the way. Now, of course, if they lose, they'll think it's like, yeah, they'll be like, we lost because of the climate activists. That's going to be the takeaway. And that's going to show we need to get even tougher with these people. Or they win and then can't do a damn thing. Or the things that they do have not anywhere near in line with the values of the people that voted for them. Anyway, like I said, we're going to focus on this more on Wednesday with Jeremy Appel. We're going to recap the election, and we're going to talk about all this stuff. So here's the thing that I wanted your opinion on. First of all, I don't know if $27 is still in chat, who complimented my shirt. This is my Aliens shirt, Hudson, the Game Over Man thing. So I did just recently get this. For the wall there. It was like slightly too small. The actual poster, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see here, like, you can see the edge. So I need to get like one of those, like for the picture frame, the inside cardboard thing. So I need to get that before I can put it up. And then I got this one as well. And I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I should have gone something more like vintage looking like that for this one. And I like this, but I don't know if it fits with my decor. So just take a look at this poster that I got and just let me know what you think. What do you think of this? You think it fits? I think it goes well. Okay. I think I felt a little regret, like I should have gotten something maybe more vintage. I don't know if this one is too Reddit. I don't know if it's too much of a Reddit poster. I would love to get a Hard to Kill poster, Matt. It's one of my favorite films. Okay, so chat approves. All right, well, that's good to know. I think I'm going to put the aliens ones there, and right above me there. I don't know where the other one's going to go. For the rest of the day, folks, how would you like to learn about China's socialist path? The quest for a socialist future.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you so much, Diego. Thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate it a lot. 80s action sci-fi was awesome. It's my exact shit. It's my exact upbringing.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Diego, thank you again. I really appreciate you, Diego. Thank you. Yeah, but I've been doing a lot of chatting, a lot of chit chat. Maybe now for the rest of the day, it's 2:22 Eastern Standard Time. We could spend the rest of the day looking at this breakthrough news video with Ken Hammond, who is hopefully going to be coming on this show. I'm in early discussions about getting Ken Hammond to come and talk about his new book on here. But he did this interview with Breakthrough News about it, so maybe that could be a good thing to take a look at today. Yeah, I'm trying, John. I'm trying. I think I went a couple months there where I didn't really book any guests, and I think I had a moment the other day where I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have guests on this show sometimes. I kind of forgot about that. So I'm going to keep working on it. I think it would be great to have him, but I think it could be a good opportunity to take a look at this video today. And I'm getting pretty tired. Frankly. So VJ gets like 10 guests. That's true. Well, the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's left is going to win a kiss from Daddy. Oh, it's so stuck in my head. I'm just like the tiredest I've ever been in my life. So I think this is what I'm going to do here, folks. I do need some mental clarity in a can. I just think I just need that every day now. Oh yeah, it comes out tonight, the new season. Wow, that's fantastic. I'm really excited for that. Ooh, or there's this. There's this Mearsheimer Ukraine thing as well. What do we think? It's from 5 days ago. There's also this Kissinger at 100. We could learn about the crimes of Henry Kissinger. I mean, that could be good for Memorial Day as well. Now I'm confused about what to do. I'll just put them all on simultaneously. I'm going to put on 3 boxes. 1 Mearsheimer speech, 1 thing about Kissinger, 1 thing about China's socialist future, and then the 4, one of those like games or like the videos of like this soap being scraped away. That's what I'm going to do. This is the only way we can absorb these things now. Yeah, Mearsheimer, the Putin supporter. I mean, as we've talked about a number of times, I'm going to take away my title here until I figure this out. As I've talked about a number of times, it's just amazing how like he said in 2015 exactly what was going to happen, exactly the red line that America was pushing up against, what the result was going to be. And then when that shit happens anyways, people are like, why do you love Putin? Zelda in the 4th window. Yeah, exactly. For the record, Mearsheimer's awesome from what I know of his work. I mean, that's the main thing, OnlyFacts, is that he's not like Mearsheimer's like a socialist. It's not like he's someone that has values that I really agree with. But I do think he's honest, though, which is when you get to people talking about U.S. foreign policy, it's always obscured in this kind of like progressive language or rhetoric or stuff about human rights. And Mearsheimer just refuses. He doesn't engage in that bullshit, which I respect. Even though I think there's probably like it's not someone politically that I would really agree with a lot. Yeah, his China takes aren't as good for sure. I saw him get like owned on that stuff the other day. Well, because ultimately, yeah, he is a supporter of empire. He wants the empire to be built in a better, more durable way, and he wants to stop pissing off Russia all the time. But again, yeah, I do really appreciate that he's at least honest about these things. Which is more than can be said for a lot of people that comment on these kind of foreign policy issues. And then there's this. There's Kissinger at 100. New war crimes revealed in secret Cambodia bombing that set the stage for forever wars. I think one of the interesting things about Kissinger as well, first of all, it's like, I feel like Kissinger has won, number one, which is the depressing thing. You know, when Kissinger does eventually die, which will happen soon, you would think will happen at some point soon, people are going to be celebrating and everything like that, but it's like he won. He made it to triple digits. He's going to, he'll pass away surrounded by his loved ones and friends and family. Like he's not, no, Kissinger has not been owned. I'm going to take no real positivity or anything positive away from his eventual death whenever it does happen. Another thing about Kissinger as well is, as much of a detestable person as he is, and he is a criminal, like he's a war criminal. There's no getting away from that. But he's honestly like to the left of a lot of people in terms of foreign policy now. Like, he's been kind of left behind, even him, who did have this very pro-empire approach. He's been left behind by people that just support full spectrum dominance, which is something that he did try to like have nuance about. He's basically a centrist now, yeah. Well, his politics also won regime changes, mass murder of global South populations, American exceptionalism, but it's like even more now. It's like it's accelerated beyond. It's left him behind. He sounds like Jesus compared to the foreign policy hawks we have now in both parties, for sure. Like, it seems like most Democrats are probably to the right of Kissinger on foreign policy issues. Nixon and Kissinger are commies today. That's the amazing thing about the whole for American intelligence services, that they actually thought Kissinger was a commie. That's how fucking reactionary some of these people are. But I think the whole thing with Nixon, as we've talked about, Nixon, a detestable person as well. Like, I would say significantly to Barack Obama's left, though, Nixon. Which just goes to show how far off the rails the country's gone. Well, I think this is probably good Memorial Day content. Let's go with this. And I will do that breakthrough news Ken Hammond video later this week. There's also some stuff from Jeffrey Sachs on This Democracy Now, which might be okay. So here it is. We're going to watch this video now. Kissinger at 100, new war crimes revealed in secret Cambodia bombing. Let's go.
democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Saturday will be the 100th birthday of Henry Kissinger. He served as National Security Advisor and Secretary of State.
How is this motherfucker still alive? Look at him.
Today we look at Kissinger's ongoing influence on the national security state as the United States engages in declared and undeclared wars around the world. Human rights advocates consider Kissinger a war criminal who has escaped accountability. We begin with a damning new investigation by The Intercept on the secret U.S. bombing of Cambodia that killed as many as 150,000 civilians that Kissinger authorized during the U.S. war in Vietnam. Reporter Nick TRRS has revealed unreported mass killings after examining formerly classified U.S. military documents and traveling to 12 remote Cambodian villages to interview more than 75 witnesses and survivors of the U.S. attacks. With this new piece, Nick TRRS also publishes transcripts of Kissinger's phone calls that show his key role in Cambodia and CIA records connecting Kissinger's actions to the growth of Cambodia's Khmer Rouge, the regime that massacred 2 million people from 1975 to 1979.
Yeah, which they backed.
Nick TRRS is a contributing writer for The Intercept. His books include Kill Anything That Moves, The Real American War in Vietnam. His new story is headlined Blood on His Hands. Survivors of Kissinger's secret war in Cambodia reveal unreported mass killings. Nick TRRS, welcome back to Democracy Now! Why don't you lay out the scope of your investigation and its most stunning conclusions, what you were most shocked by in this extensive report?
Thank you so much for having me on. You know, I think the key takeaway of this package of articles is that Henry Kissinger is responsible for more civilian deaths in Cambodia than was previously known, according to this exclusive archive of U.S. military documents that I assembled, and also interviews with Cambodian witnesses and survivors, as well as Americans who witnessed or took part in these attacks. The archive offers previously unpublished, unreported, and also underappreciated evidence of hundreds of civilian casualties that were kept secret during the U.S. war in Cambodia, most of them from 1969 to 1973, the years that Henry Kissinger presided over it. And these remain almost entirely unknown to the American people today. A key to this reporting was previously unpublished interviews with more than 75 Cambodian witnesses and survivors of U.S. military attacks. And speaking with them revealed new details about the long-term trauma borne by survivors of the American war there. So taken together, this adds to the list of killings and crimes that Henry Kissinger should, even at this very late date in his life, be asked to answer for.
And Nick, could you talk a little bit about the military documents you found? In your articles, I was quite surprised to discover, although I guess it's been reported previously, that Kissinger himself was taping or transcribing conversations that he had with the president and other officials about the war in Cambodia.
Yes, that's right. I wrote a short sidebar about this. People know about Nixon's White House taping. What really laid him low is in the Watergate scandal. But most people don't realize that Kissinger was also taping all his phone conversations. And he had a group of aides that transcribed these. And through these transcripts, you can see Kissinger's, how hands-on he was with his policies in Cambodia, and how you can see him relaying orders from Nixon. Some White House officials that I spoke with who were privy to these conversations at the time were often worried that President Nixon was drunk during some of these conversations. He was slurring his words and giving orders to, in one case that I focus on, attack, anything, or it was to send anything that flies on anything that moves in Cambodia. Basically, attack everything with planes and helicopter gunships. And you can see the order come right from Nixon. Nixon pass it down to his military aide, Alexander Haig. And then I was able to show that you could see the palpable effects in the field, that just after these orders came down, helicopter attacks on Cambodia went sky high. They tripled over the course of the month after this call. So you can really see the direct effects of Kissinger in the White House and how it affected Cambodians on the ground.
I want to start with your article, how you start your article in Cambodia. At the end of a dusty path snaking through rice paddies lives a woman who survived multiple U.S. airstrikes as a child. Round-faced and just over 5 feet tall in plastic sandals, Mias Lorne lost an older brother to a helicopter gunship attack and an uncle and cousins to artillery fire. For decades, one question haunted her. I still wonder why those aircraft always attacked in this area. Why did they drop bombs here? Can you elaborate on this? And I want to say for our radio listeners, for television, we're showing photographs that you have, an incredible gold mine of photographs that you took when you made these visits. Talk about these details, the specific stories.
Yes, Mias Lorne's story and the suffering that she endured, the trauma that she's lived with all these years, it like so many of the stories that I heard in Cambodia really stuck with me, and and her question was one that I heard again and again. Cambodian villagers in these remote villages on the border with Vietnam, they had no idea why they were attacked. One day, American aircraft just started appearing overhead. They had no frame of reference for why this was happening. They didn't understand it, but they soon came to fear these machines. And for years on end, they were terrorized by them. I actually took her question to Henry Kissinger when I tried to confront him with questions for this article. And I asked him to answer the question that she had asked me, why did they attack here? And Kissinger responded with sarcasm, anger, and stomped off. He was able to beat an easy retreat and save himself from this.
It's so sad that this guy's still held up as being like the darling of all these liberal circles. By the way, I must say as well, because of the role that Kissinger played in like normalizing relations with China, he still is kind of like a popular figure in China. And I saw like Chen Weinhua and like sharing Kissinger tweets over the weekend, and I was just like, I'm going to just pretend that I don't see this. I'm going to pretend that I don't see this. But yeah, it's just sick that this person, and that the people that do this kind of thing around the world, that create this kind of violence and chaos, they get invited to all the dinner parties. They sit on the boards of the companies. They still are these influential figures in Washington, D.C. Like Hillary spends every holiday hanging out with this guy. It's like this person that should be like completely drummed out of public life forever, who should be in jail, who should be in prison for being a war criminal. And it's so sick the way that these people are still celebrated throughout their whole ghoulish lives. And in fact, then oversee this foreign policy machine that like goes way above and beyond even what they did. And the Democratic liberal candidate, Hillary Clinton, is like, no, we're good friends. That was one of the great moments of Bernie's career, actually, during the presidential campaign, when he says, I'm very proud to not be friends with Henry Kissinger. That was a great Bernie moment in that time. He didn't make any effort to like placate anyone or play that game. But it really just does make you feel sick, like the idea that someone like Kissinger can still hold these influential positions, can be held up as being these heroic, influential figures with all that level of blood on their hands. Like, it's truly gross. And then, of course, America still lectures other countries about human rights. Of course. We're still capable of lecturing everyone about human rights when we still uphold and support and protect and support people like Henry Kissinger.
Like Mies Lorne, where didn't have any sort of easy means of escape. There was another village that I visited, and I have some photographs from that as well.
Yeah, Jay, I think Bernie's one of the better U.S. politicians when it comes to foreign policy views, but I mean, that's an extremely low bar, and Bernie doesn't even clear the low bar a lot of the time as well. He might be one of the only Democrats that's willing to say certain things about Israel. That's like a positive thing. He still voted to bomb Yugoslavia. He still he has not challenged the Biden administration one iota over the last year for the support for Ukraine or any of that stuff. He's really had nothing to do with it. So he's definitely better than a lot of other Democrats. So I don't want to take that away, but that's not really saying all that much considering how fucking monstrous a lot of Democrats are. He's on stage holding Joe's hand, telling us good socialists to vote for Biden. That's right. My friend Joe Biden. He thinks Putler is a vicious dictator, and Maduro as well. He said he talked shit about our boy, which I don't tolerate. He's probably got some bad DPRK takes as well. So I agree that he's better than a lot of Democrats. It's still not saying all that much, though, unfortunately.
These were taken by my wife, Tam TRRS, who reported this along with me. And there was a village that was mentioned in U.S. documents.
I saw Maduro meeting Lula. That's so cool.
On May 1st, 1970.
That's huge.
Helicopters circled a Cambodian village. The Americans had a phonetic spelling of it called Merowan, but there was no village in Cambodia called Merowan. It's not a Cambodian name, but there was one called Meron on the border. And we set about trying to find it. We got close, and we spent 2 days driving around local roads asking for directions. We finally turned off the highway onto a red dirt track that cut through some lush farmland. It then ended with a footpath, and it took us into this village. I quickly found the village chief, and I read him the excerpt from the documents that during this attack, 12 villagers were killed, 5 were wounded. This is from U.S. records. And after the assault, survivors fled their village, and they went to another one called Kontut. So when I asked him about this particular attack, it was like many Cambodian villages that I visited. He was baffled by it. They'd endured so many airstrikes over the years. He couldn't remember one single strike. But when he thought about the date, he told me, that's right. He gestured toward an area at the edge of the village and said they attacked intensely at that time, and then everyone here fled for Kontut. So I knew that we had the right place. And this village chief, a man named Shen Hang, lost his mother, his father, his grandfather, a nephew, a niece, and other more distant relatives to airstrikes. He and several other survivors told me about relentless attacks. And as he talked to me, his eyes reddened and then they went vacant. And, he sunk to his knees and moved to a far corner of the room.
I hope we learned something about the limits of electoralism from the Bernie saga. I mean, I definitely think that people in this community certainly have. I mean, that's why you see the man behind me there, right? Because I think not just Bernie, but the 1-2 punch of the Bernie movement and the Corbyn movement in the UK just getting totally crushed by the establishment was an eye-opening experience for me, and I know a lot of others. And that's why when you start wondering about the limits of electoralism or how much of a democracy we really have, you crack open a State and Revolution. It's like, oh, okay, I kind of get this now. Hilly was irate that we didn't learn our lesson with McGovern. They're still obsessed with McGovern all these decades later. You can never do anything remotely left-wing because of fucking McGovern. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's going to be different with RFK, I swear, bro. Two things. I don't think people should take RFK lightly. I see a lot of people dismissing RFK, and I think he's got a better chance to make some noise in this primary process than people are admitting, with Biden having no real challengers and the establishment completely shutting down all criticism and all possibility of anyone running against him. But at the same time, people that are telling themselves that RFK is going to be the solution or something, or he's going to dismantle these intelligence agencies, or he's going to be anti-war or whatever. I just don't believe that at all. I do not believe that in one iota.
And I let him be. He eventually returned to the conversation, but this was the type of trauma that I encountered again and again. It had been decades, but this trauma wrought by Henry Kissinger's policies was still so amazingly fresh and palpable in all of these villages.
And Nick, the U.S. bombing campaign and the war in Cambodia was followed, obviously, by the rise of the Khmer Rouge and also the genocide that the rest of the world associates more with Cambodia than anything else. I'm wondering, you're reporting, what connection, if any, between this massive bombing campaign for which U.S. officials have never been held responsible and the rise of the Khmer Rouge?
Sure. I mean, of course, the Khmer Rouge is culpable for the genocide in Cambodia and the 2 million deaths. But as you mentioned, it's been long overlooked just how destabilizing the U.S. bombing was. There was such displacement of Cambodians within their own country, such trauma caused by the U.S. attacks, these relentless attacks, and tremendous quantities of bombs dropped, that the Khmer Rouge used all this as a recruiting tool. They went around to villages and said that the only way to make this stop was to join their movement, which before the U.S. bombing was really a small fringe movement of just thousands of people. By the end of the U.S. bombing, the Khmer Rouge numbered 200,000 people. And I mean, the U.S. attacks were the centerpiece of their recruiting drive. And it, unfortunately, it worked all too well. And so, President Nixon and Henry Kissinger certainly.
Yeah, Old Dutch. I mean, that was definitely, you're talking about the era and whether China was involved with the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot. I mean, that was unquestionably one of the huge missteps, and I think from a disastrous kind of foreign policy that was put in place in that era. And I think it would be worth unpacking. I know exactly what went on and why these decisions were made, but huge China L, I think, in that stage. There's no getting around that at all.
Played a key role in enabling this genocide to happen.
In 2016, during an event at the LBJ Library, Henry Kissinger was asked to respond to those who call him a war criminal.
I think the word war criminal should not be thrown around in the domestic debate. It's a shameful, it's a reflection on the people who use it.
As Henry Kissinger turns 100 years old on Saturday, in addition to Nick TRRS, who's written this astounding series in The Intercept, headlined Blood on His Hands, we're joined by the Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Greg Grandin, author of the book Kissinger's Shadow, The Long Reach of America's Most Controversial Statesman. Greg's latest article is headlined Henry Kissinger, a War Criminal Still at Large at 100. Can you take off from where Nick TRRS left off, Greg Grandin, and tell us how, though so many have come under a microscope like Nixon and his whole group in the White House, Kissinger somehow escaped this by the establishment media, though independent media has long been fiercely critical of him. Tell us Kissinger's full story, Greg.
Well, it would take a lot more time than we have to tell Kissinger's full story. He's turning 100 years old. I think that what's interesting is that, I mean, Kissinger is a war criminal, but there are lots of war criminals. I mean, the people who conducted as Jeff Sachs talked about, the Iraq War, can be held culpable for the destruction of a country in an illegal war.
It's made all the accusations about Putler even more ridiculous.
Is that in some ways the crimes are ongoing? I mean, there's just many unexploded ordinances in Laos and Cambodia that are still killing people. So the crimes are, not of the past, but they're the present. That said, I think that the best way to think about Kissinger isn't necessarily as a war criminal. I think that in some ways that shuts down debate. Kissinger as a personality is so oversized, he eclipses his context. I think Kissinger's life actually has a lot to teach us about how we got to the point where we are, that in a way that again, Jeff Sachs talked about this multi-fronted, never-ending, endless war and military-industrial complex. Now, Cambodia, the bombing of Cambodia was done in secret for 5 years. It was a covert operation. People know that.
Not actually at war with Cambodia.
And the reason it had to be covert was because it was illegal. It was illegal to bomb. We weren't at war with Cambodia. It wasn't a country that the United States had declared war on or was at war with, and the reasons why excuses that Kissinger has given for a 5-year-long bombing campaign that caused enormous damage, including bringing to power the most eliminationist, extremist cadre within the Khmer Rouge and leading to the genocide, was that it was to eliminate safe havens. It was an act of self-defense. This is now taken as a common practice. This is basically fundamentally what the entire U.S. war on terror is authorized to do, to go into any country and drone and bomb and conduct military operations, some we know about, some we don't know about, but as a matter of course. So we don't do it in secret. So Kissinger's trajectory from Cambodia, from being the architect of this secret campaign to bomb a country the United States wasn't at war with, to the state we are in now, governed by a national security state, is what I think is most instructive about Kissinger's life and most important about him, other than describing him as a war criminal, which he is.
And Greg, why do you think that he remains such a significant figure? As you mentioned, he escaped all of the scandal of the Nixon years and went on to be a highly influential figure, not only in the actual political world, but obviously in the media as well. And he was always referred almost by the corporate press as a revered figure in American foreign policy and national security.
Yeah, the press loved him, and he was very good at playing the press. Especially, he was very good at weathering Watergate. His fingers were all over. He basically pushed Nixon to set up the plumbers because he was obsessed that Daniel Ellsberg, who released the Pentagon Papers, had information about Cambodia. Cambodia threads through all of this, and Kissinger was instrumental in pushing Nixon to set up the covert operation that went into Ellsberg's psychiatrist's office and went into the Watergate Hotel, because he wanted to basically take down Ellsberg. And
it is weird how he totally avoided all association with that, all guilt by association.
Like the thugs that Nixon had around him, Haldeman and Ehrlichman, with the Prussians they were called, and the press really kind of fell for the gravitas that he projected, and they were looking for somebody.
One thing you can say about Kissinger that he did play the press like fucking an instrument, and all these ghouls and stenographers for power in the American media establishment loved this guy.
And Kissinger was very attuned to this. He played people like Ted Koppel very well, and then. What's interesting about Kissinger, though, more than anything, we know about his 8 years in office. He was National Security Director and Secretary of State under Nixon and Ford for a full 8 years, Secretary of State for the last couple of those years. And we know we have documents. We have Kissinger himself has released, has declassified, has given his archive to Yale. But it's what happened after. When he becomes a kind of sage pundit, a bipartisan pundit, Bill Clinton rehabilitates Kissinger as a way of giving him a certain seriousness in foreign policy that as a governor of Arkansas he didn't have. So he rehabilitates him for the Democratic Party. And then Kissinger founds, of course, Kissinger Associates. And so he's out of office now for what? 76 to now is, with a half a day, 50 years. And during that time, his Kissinger Associates has been a kind of premier concierge service for the global elite. It's broken. It basically broken the privatization of national industries in Latin America, in Eastern Europe, in Russia. He's a key player in all of these movements. We have no information about any of that, right? And it's arguably more consequential in some ways. I mean, maybe not. Maybe I guess the actual war crimes were when he was in office for years.
Very nice.
There is this black hole of his role as a consultant to the global elite during this very consequential moment in which an enormous amount of wealth transferred from the bottom to the top. And Kissinger was deeply involved in that. He helped broker NAFTA, for example. He told Clinton that Clinton had political capital to do only one of two things his first year. He could either pass Hillary Clinton's national health program, or he could push for NAFTA. And he advised him to push for NAFTA, and Clinton did. And we got NAFTA, and we didn't get a healthcare expansion, which I think says a lot about the post-Cold War trajectory of the United States.
By the time Hillary ran for president, she was against her own healthcare plan.
The 2016 Democratic presidential debate in Milwaukee.
By the time Hillary ran for president, you know, how many years? 25 years later, whatever. She viewed the kind of health program that she was pushing for in the early 90s as being like a unicorn or like a puppy or rainbow or whatever it is. Those are called principles.
Bernie Sanders criticized his opponent Hillary Clinton's relationship with her fellow former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and cited Kissinger's role in Cambodia.
In her book and in this last debate, she talked about getting the approval or the support or the mentoring of Henry Kissinger. Now, I find it rather amazing because I happen to believe that Henry Kissinger was one of the most destructive secretaries of state in the modern history of this country.
You know, like, obviously, I think all the stuff about Bernie and sexism, a lot of that was just like a smear and like the Bernie bros stuff and like, oh, you just don't support a woman president. But like, I will say this. It does seem like he had a certain vitriol or a willingness to say this shit to Hillary in 2016 that he doesn't have for Joe Biden. Bernie would never say this to Joe Biden, his good buddy, Joe Biden, his own disastrous foreign policy stances. Perhaps Bernie is maybe a little bit sexist. Maybe some of the accusations were a little bit overblown. The accusations of misogyny. But I must say, it's interesting that he would never use this kind of language or criticism about his friend, Joe Biden. Because of the promotions, that's right. Now he gets a chance to be a centerpiece of the administration and fight for these economic policies, which shucks, we just can't pass that, Bernie. We really wanted to pass all those big progressive economic agenda that you were pushing for us. We just can't do it this time. Damn it. So sorry, Bernie. If you can just go ahead and encourage everyone to vote for the Democrats, though, still, that would be good. Sorry, I don't want to make too many Americans mad, though. I can't talk about Bernie doing that because I don't live in America. It's very upsetting for people. It is kind of interesting, though, that he would say that to Hillary, and it was absolutely correct to do so, but wouldn't do the same thing when it came to Joe Biden. And in fact, like when his own surrogates were calling Biden corrupt, he was like, no, we got to walk that back. Threw his own colleagues and his own surrogates under the bus. Yeah, they got so mad at him in 2016, he tried being nicer in 2020. Yeah, I think that's true to an extent as well, Sinchel. I think, like, even though we know that it wasn't his fault, that's always been my impression, was that he did feel responsible for Trump getting elected, or at least partially responsible. And a lot of what he did in 2020 was a reaction to that. That was the shark jump. Yeah, for sure. Ice Tray. It was fascinating being able to talk to David Sirota about that moment. Really interesting. Bernie saw what happened to Nader and is terrified of getting the same treatment, which is also bullshit at the same time, Ice Tray, because like he did bust his ass to try to get Hillary Clinton elected. He did. He wasn't Nader. He didn't run. He didn't run in the election. He fucking endorsed Hillary. Anyway, not to relitigate that all again. It is just kind of interesting in this clip in retrospect, I think.
I am proud to say that Henry Kissinger is not my friend. I will not take advice from Henry Kissinger.
This was awesome.
Kissinger's actions in Cambodia, when the United States bombed that country, overthrew Prince Sihanouk, created the instability for Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge to come in, who then butchered some 3 million innocent people, one of the worst genocides in the history of the world. So count me in as somebody who will not be listening to Henry Kissinger.
So that was presidential candidate Bernie
sick.
Sanders versus presidential candidate
I
Hillary
would like
Clinton.
to see some of those
And then
heaters
you have the late
from
celebrity
Joe.
chef Anthony Bourdain, who once said, "Once you've been to Cambodia, you'll never stop wanting to beat Henry Kissinger to death with your bare hands.
It's funny hearing Amy Goodman say those words.
You'll never again be able to open a newspaper and read about that treacherous, prevaricating, murderous scumbag sitting down for a nice chat with Charlie Rose or attending some black tie affair for a new glossy magazine without choking. Witness what Henry did in Cambodia, the fruits of his genius for statesmanship, and you'll never understand why he's not sitting in the dock at The Hague next to Milosevic." Now, those were the words of Anthony Bourdain. And I want to get your comment on this, Greg, and then Nick Turse.
No comment there.
Yeah, well, again, Cambodia, the centrality of Cambodia in this transitional
Still a pretty
period of the
powerful
US
clip,
national
though.
security state and its importance. You know, the human damage and cost and pain and suffering is overwhelming to think about. But more kind of stepping back and thinking about its role in the kind of trajectory of U.S. power. One thing we didn't talk about is Kissinger's role in the October surprise of 1968. The New York Times just ran an article more or less confirming Reagan's role in the October surprise regarding the Iranian hostages. But Kissinger, Kissinger in the 1950s and 60s was a Rockefeller Republican. He understood himself as a liberal Republican, and he was shocked when Nixon got the nomination in 1968. He thought his political career was over, but then he reached out to the Nixon campaign and he said, I got contacts in the Johnson campaign. I can let you know what's going on with the peace talks in Paris that were hoping to wind down the war and might have given Humphrey the presidency. And Kissinger passed on information that the Nixon campaign then used to scuttle those talks. And then once he was appointed, he was awarded with that by being appointed National Security Advisor. And then once he came into office, he had to figure out a way to restart the peace talks because Nixon promised to end the war. So what can you do? You just scuttle the peace talks. How do you restart them? Well, one of the not the stated justifications, but one of the reasons why he started bombing Cambodia and became obsessed about Cambodia was he was trying to kind of project a certain kind of madman theory to the North Vietnamese, that the Nixon administration was so crazy they would start bombing Cambodia and maybe this would bring them back to the negotiating tables. Of course it didn't, and the war dragged out and for another 5 years for no reason. It could have ended in 1968. It could have ended, and millions of lives were lost. Vietnamese, tens of thousands of lives were lost in the United States, all as a result of this moment, this first October surprise in 1968. And again, Cambodia playing a central role in that history.
Nick Turse, we just have a minute, and we want to give you the last word.
Scuttled peace talks sounds like Pooler propaganda.
You've done, and
at least we don't have communism. That's right. You really dodged a bullet there.
Yes.
Imagine if all of Southeast Asia had gone communist in the late 60s. That would be a
offer up one case that I
truly
chronicled.
disastrous
This is from the
future
US
there.
records. Americans shot up a village with helicopters using machine gun fire and rockets. And then South Vietnamese forces, an American officer landed. They began looting this village. An American officer stole a Suzuki motorbike and hauled it onto this helicopter. Other Americans noticed that.
Diego, that still stuff about Bernie was a little tongue-in-cheek. It was a little tongue-in-cheek, okay? I do think, though, there is a discrepancy between the heat that Bernie had for Clinton in those moments in 2016 versus him not willing to go at Joe Biden quite as much as he needed to. I think it's worth unpacking maybe why that is. I think just saying he's sexist is maybe a pretty like facile, inaccurate conclusion to come to from all that. I do think it's worth unpacking a little tiny bit though. A little tiny bit.
There was a young Cambodian girl, maybe 5 years old.
I would have loved to hear him talk the same shit about Biden. That's my basic point.
They wanted to take her for medical care, but the officer who dragged the motorbike on board said negative. They were weighed down by the bike and they had no room. And they left this girl there to die. This happened after Henry Kissinger gave that order to anything that flies.
Seriously, dummy dorko. Yeah, most Democrats are like, wait, they think Kissinger is like nowhere near hard enough.
Nick TRRS will link to your 4-part series, including The Peace, Blood on His Hands. Survivors of Kissinger's secret war in Cambodia reveal unreported mass killings. And we want to thank Yale University professor Greg Grandin, author of the book Kissinger's Shadow.
Well, that was good.
We'll link to your
he's a monstrous figure. And I think it's worth talking about some of these horrific crimes that were perpetrated under Kissinger on this Memorial Day in America. I think it's worth unpacking that. And I think it's really disgusting the way that he's still celebrated, the way that he's still, runs in these elite circles, the way that he's never really been held to account for any of this, the way that like he's been, most Democrats are even further to his right on foreign policy issues than they were before. I think it says a lot about America. You really see the hypocrisy when they start pointing fingers about human rights issues and war crimes and that kind of stuff, how completely meaningless all those accusations are in the light of Henry Kissinger, like turning 100 and still being this kind of revered figure in Washington. Really worth unpacking. Folks, I got to make a final plea for people to subscribe to TRRS. Listen, if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy TRRS and you enjoy the community, please, if you can, subscribe. Because in just being perfectly honest here, I am so tired right now. I stayed up too late last night. I caught the late version of Succession at 11 until 12:30, and then I was up till probably around 2. I'm so tired, like I feel like I'm falling asleep right now. And I don't want to start falling asleep on the stream. I think that would be embarrassing. I wanted to stick around a bit longer and talk about some more stuff. But I'm tired, and I got to go pick up my kid in about an hour and a half from now.
Count on me. You're gonna have.
And I would kind of like to, prior to that, just have a little lie down. I'd like to have a little lie down and maybe a little naparino. Prior to that, tired gang, exactly. Thank you, Lana, and thank you, Diego, for the gifted sub. So if you can, folks, please subscribe. Subscribe to TRRS. It's $5 per month. It's absolutely free of charge with an Amazon Prime account. Every little bit helps. Every sub, every gifted sub, every friend coin donation or tip or what have you helps keep this content on the air. It allows me to continue doing this. I am not sure if I'm going to be around tomorrow. I may be taking tomorrow off. I'm going to have to kind of see how it goes. So probably no stream tomorrow, but Wednesday I got Jeremy Appel and talking about Alberta and all kinds of other stuff going on. But before I go, folks, I'm at 7 out of 35 subs. Would you like to let me leave and be able to have a little bit of rest and a little nap? Well, one way you can facilitate that,
you can count on me,
is if you subscribe to this program
to talk you through all this.
I feel like the world gets worse every month I subscribe, but with E.
Thank you, Ice Tray, for the 21 months tier 1. That's not my fault, though, okay? That's not my fault. I'm just talking people through all this. All right, that's all. That's all.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Well, thank you very much for the gifted sub, Lana. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you for that. So do you have any other takers? I don't have any illusions about hitting the sub goal today because I'm cutting it off early. But maybe we could get a little bit closer. The arc of the moral universe is long when it bends toward Hellworld. It certainly seems that way. Yes, it certainly seems that way. Rob has been talking me through a lot of things, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Diego. It's my pleasure.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Anonymous gifter, thank you for that. Thank you for the anonymous gift. Sub. I appreciate that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Was that Diego again? Jeremy Appel is Wednesday. And I don't really think so either, Lana.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
You know, I've talked a lot about how I do have a lot of hope and optimism when it comes to like this kind of shifting geopolitical realities. I think maybe we don't have a lot to look forward to in the West, except further decline, you know, with either the rainbow stamped inclusive decline or the real mask off reactionary stuff. But the world doesn't revolve around us at the same time. I think there's a possibility that the world might be, as the West continues to decline, we're going to see a lot of things improve for a lot of people around the world. So, and the decline, while bad, does create certain opportunities. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we need to be there to capitalize on those. So we're at level 2 of this hype train, folks. Does any more generous chatters want to subscribe to this program, help keep this content on the air? And allow me to log off today with a little bit of dignity, and so I have a little bit of time to have a nice little nap. 1 sub equals you contributing to a Rob nap time. Isn't that something that would be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to contribute to my nap time? I really think if I just like leaned back in my chair right now and closed my eyes, I would probably just sleep.
Count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Gen X Bushy, thank you very much for the gifted sub. I really appreciate all the support from Gen X Bushy. Thank you. All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's left is going to win a kiss from Daddy. No, there will be no cheese licking. No cheese licking today. You know, if there's one generous 5 sub gifter out there, that could get me to halfway to the sub goal, which I think would be enough for me to be able to say like, okay, I've accomplished something today. It's Peter's special cheese. A friend of mine has been playing Xenoblade for like 200 hours, and you look about as tired as him. It's like, I've not been sleeping that bad either. I don't know what the deal is. I was just really trying to I had a hard time getting out of bed and getting going today. Because of course I can't just do this stream and have fun and hang out with you. I've got to be productive too. I've got to be productive. I have to feel like I've produced. I have to feel like I've funneled enough money up to the fucking Amazon Corporation, which gives me worth as a person and allows me to feel like I've accomplished something. Moss, thank you so much for the 2 gifted subs. I appreciate that, Moss. Thank you. And got us to level 3 of this hype train. And 1 extremely generous 5 sub gifter. If you're out there, if there's an extremely generous 5 sub gifter out there, you could get TRRS above the 20 sub threshold today. You could do it. That could be you. I did see that. I think I saw the Sargon of Akkad tweet that you're sharing, Diego, and it was completely incomprehensible. I don't know if he needs to change the batteries in his carbon monoxide detector or something. Is there a generous 5 sub gifter out there, folks? What about if I just turn on this dramatic music and just stare at the camera? Is that going to create a vibe that's threatening enough that someone will gift a couple subs to stop it? Let's see. I'm also going to choose to ignore the Gamergate, man. I agree with that. Okay, let's see if this works. We got 3 minutes and 20 left in this hype train. We got a couple minutes left in this dark piano sociopath music that I played before. Here we go. Is there a generous 5 sub gifter out there? This is my question. I really need to sleep. Really badly. I'm doing more acting. I'm putting myself in the headspace of Kendall at the end of the show yesterday. It was over pretty fast. I was really convinced no one. that convinced absolutely nobody. You know what? Who cares? Who cares? See if I care. My tortured, longing looks aren't enough for you, are they? Okay. I see. I see how it is. I see how it goes. All the rich white folk are going to argue. And then whoever's left is going to win a kiss from daddy. We still got 90 seconds left, folks. We got 90 seconds left. There's still time. There's still time for you to support this stream if you want to. Okay? If you can. I'm just too tired to function. I'm just too tired to function. I can't handle this. What do I got? I got a possible, if I fall asleep within the next 5 minutes, which is not a given, I might be able to get an hour of sleep, which would be very nice. Thank you again for watching the stream, folks. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the support. Thanks for watching. So, I don't think I'll be around tomorrow. I hope you all enjoyed my dramatic monologue earlier before. That was kind of fun. That was really... I enjoyed doing that. I like acting. Think about what dramatic monologue you want me to prepare for next Monday. It's monologue Monday, okay? Think about what dramatic monologue you want to see me do. Lana, it's totally fine. No problem at all. Like, again, everyone that hangs out in this community is so unbelievably supportive, you know? It's not aimed at the generous people and the really cool community members. It's aimed more at the lurkers, you know, the non-subs. I know you're there. I know you're out there too, but it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. I can do that as well. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Give my regards to our friend Hilda Beast. I'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to talk to Jeremy Appel on Wednesday, talk about Alberta and the election and everything that's been happening there, the NDP and all that good stuff. You can support the channel with a nice sack of mushrooms. Let's talk off mic about that, Lana. Take care, folks.